Hey everybody, welcome to Fab Fit Friday and part one of the shorts for everybody sew along. I'm really excited because I got quite a few orders for this pattern, so I think we're going to have a really fun class. I'm really excited. This is the first time I've done a class that's a combo with also a Zoom session, so I think this is going to be really kind of cool. Let me just say hi to Janie. Hi Janie, welcome. All right, so today what I'm going to do is I decided that I was going to measure every aspect of the pattern that I think comes into play when you're trying to decide which size and which pattern adjustments you may need to make. So I have measured the waist, the full hip, the upper thigh, the hem, the inseam, and the crotch length. So those are the dimensions that I find are very helpful when you're trying to adjust your pattern. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to put it on my work table and I'm going to leave it there so you can take a screenshot of it. And then after I'm done today, I am going to post a picture of this size measurement chart in the community tab for you to see. All right, so let's see. Hi, Diane. Oh, good. I'm so happy your pattern got there in time. Hi, Mary. Hi, Sally. Hi, Francine. Welcome to part one of the Shorts for Everybody Sew Along. Super excited. I find that I get stuff sewn for myself when I'm doing sew-alongs or teaching a long-range class, because if I have to demonstrate and show, then I can do it on a pair of shorts that I'm working for myself. Plus, I'm also going to be making my daughter some shorts, so I'll be working with both. Well, maybe I can get my sister going too. My sister would be in the very small range. She'd probably be a 4 or a 6. And then I'm a 14, and then my daughter is probably a 22 or 24. So I'm going to be working with at least me and my daughter to get started, and then I will, maybe I'll get my sister a pair going. Oh, hi Judy. Hi Kim. Kim's excited. Yay. Oh, hello. Mama's AIDS. Oh, Mama Said So. Welcome. You've caught me live on the first episode of the Shorts for Everybody Sew Along. And if you're interested in joining us, you can get the pattern on my online store. I'll put a link to it under this video when I'm finished, if you're interested. Today what I'm going to be doing is going over measurements. So let me start by putting my picture in picture here. And what I'm going to do, if you guys want to take like a screenshot of this, let me get it really close here. Okay, so this is the measurement chart for all the sizes. And you can see I've measured almost everything. And this way it's going to make it really easy. So no matter what your size is, you'll be able to tell what these different dimensions measure without having to measure it yourself. So these are all the measurements. So again, if you want to take a screenshot of that, you can. If you'd like a copy of the PDF, just email me and I'll send it to you. I'm also going to put it on the community tab, a picture of it so people can see it. So those are the things I'm going to do to get this information to you. And I think going forward, I'll probably add it to the pattern instructions as well. I thought of it after I printed the pattern initially. But anyway, so those are the measurements. Now, what I want to do next is show you the two different shapes. Okay, so this is, let me see here. Let me back this up a little bit now. Okay, so this is the low full hip style, and you can see that the reason why this is accommodating to a low full hip is because if I draw across here at the crotch line, you can see that the curve of the back crotch is lower than the tip of the crotch. And this really is a good starting spot if you look at yourself in the mirror from your side view and just sort of notice where the bottom of your butt curves in towards center. And if it's significantly lower than the front, then chances are you have a low full butt. So you have the choice of this style, and it goes with its own front because the front crotch curve has to be a little bit straighter to meet it in a way where you get a smooth transition front and back. And then the other shape, the other pattern in there is the average full hip. And if I were to draw across here, let me just draw across so you can see the difference. So you can see on this style crotch curve, the curve is above the crotch point. Okay, so this is more likely to fit someone whose fullest part of their butt is up a little bit higher or in the middle of the crotch. Now I want to show you in the instructions. This is what the printed pattern looks like. Oops. And what I want to show you here is I have information in the actual instructions that will help you pick which style. So if you look at page 2, okay, you can see that I put side views of average and low full hip, as well as a back view, and then the shapes of the crotch here. And that will help you pick your, which pattern that you should start with. Now, if you have any questions about which pattern to start with, please check in with me. If you email me at, jsterndesigns37@gmail, I will answer you and let you, help you pick which pattern is better for you to start with. And, just as a reminder, you get both patterns. When you get the pattern, both style crotch shapes are in there. Okay, so look on page 2 for more information about whether you're average or low full hip. All right, so that's that information. All right, so let me just say hi. Hi, Marion, welcome. Okay, so does anybody have any questions about picking out which style pattern you're going to start working with? If you have any questions about that, just post them in the live chat and I will help you. The next thing I want to talk about, and I'll keep my eye on that, but while I'm waiting to see if there's questions, I'm just going to keep going here. I want to show you what I think would be the best thing to start with. I think your first pair of shorts, I would forego the button vent because it's a bunch of extra steps, and if you take the time to do this and then your shorts don't fit exactly the way you want to, you would have spent all this time, and then you have shorts that don't fit right. So if you want to pick out a lightweight, it could be, okay, so for your first pair will be sort of a test fit muslin that I'm hoping will be wearable, depending on the adjustments you need to make after we adjust the pattern before we cut out the first pair. Anything like, this is non-stretch first of all, so lightweight twill, a linen, woven cotton, anything that's a nice summer kind of bottom weight fabric that's not stretchy is good for these shorts. My first pair that I made a pair out of a vintage cotton. It looks like linen, but it's cotton. And then I made a second pair out of this lightweight twill. Okay, so these actually have the, the button placket and everything. So, pick out your fabric. And then I just want to explain how to figure out how to get rid of these vents if you want to make a pair of shorts that do not have this vent. So basically, let me just get rid of the copies. Let me just say here, Joy says, hi Jen, if I fall between average and low, which one do I start with? I'm planning on making a muslin and doing the Sunday Zoom session. Okay, if you're not sure, then start with the average, because we can always scoop down and create the lower crotch curve. Okay, so if you're not 100% sure, I think start with the average, because we can create that here. And thank you, Joy, for mentioning that. Let me just pop back over here for a second. If you purchase this pattern, the PDF version of this pattern, there is a Zoom invite included with the PDF assembly guide that was downloaded with the pattern pieces. If you bought the printed version of this pattern, I'm going to send you or email you a Zoom invite later today. If you do not get the Zoom invite, then email me and I will send it to you. And just let me see, did I write it down in my calendar? Of course not. All right, so let me just look and see. Zoom. I have a lot of things going on, so honestly, I'm embarrassed to say I don't remember exactly what time I said we were going to do this Zoom. So let me just sign into my. Oops, hold on. Let me just sign in here. Or if someone knows, they can tell me. Whoever does it faster. J-Starting Designs 37 at gmail.com. And oops. Okay. All right, so it's going to be Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so, oh, thank you. Thank you, ladies. Oh, Diane says 11, sure wish it was 12. Well, here's the thing, Diane. I'm going to keep going until everybody is happy, so if you want to check in a little bit later, you can. Okay, so don't, if 11 is not good, come when you can, because I'm guessing it will take more than an hour. Because what I want to do on Sunday is for everybody who has their muslin sewn together, I want to do sort of a fitting with it. If you don't have your muslin together and you have questions about how to adjust your pattern, I will do that as well. So don't feel like it's a rush. Okay, I've dedicated Sunday to shorts fitting, so I won't be in a hurry to end the Zoom fitting. And there were quite a few purchases, over 30 patterns. So I'm not sure how many of those people are planning on coming to the Sunday Zoom session. So, you know, if there's that many people in the class, it will take time. And if there's less people, it'll take less time. But I won't end before noon, I promise. Okay, so that's the little information about the bonus Zoom fitting. So what I want to do today is show you how to prep your pattern and possibly make fit adjustments you may need. Oh, Janie is asking, is it this Sunday? Yes, it's this Sunday, because I want to get all the fitting done this weekend so we can cut out and start sewing next Friday. So that's why I want to kind of make this the fitting weekend. And here's the thing, if you can't come to the fitting session, I think I will record it, but I'm going to record it in a way where it won't show the Zoom screen. So you'll be able to hear the entire class, but if anyone is running around just in their muslin and they don't want to be on camera, they don't have to worry about that. I am going to shoot it so it just shows my table shot and my face camera. So you'll be able to hear all the conversation, and if someone's asking a question about fixing something specific, you can hear it and see me do it. And then I will upload that to my YouTube, and if anybody missed it and they would like a link to that, they can email me. I'll make it private so it's not available for, you know, the entire universe to see. So I'll make it, I'm sorry, unlisted. And if you're interested in seeing the recorded Zoom fitting information, email me and I'll send you a link to the unlisted video. That way, if you can't make it and you want to see more fitting, you'll be able to see it, but also nobody else will have to worry about being on camera. All right. So I'm not going to record the Zoom. I'm going to record the stream, which only records my cameras. Okay. So getting back over to this. Okay, like I said, for your first pair, or if you're going to make a muslin, we want to eliminate the vents. And what I did on the pattern is, on the smallest size, there is a dashed line with some dots. Okay, and I couldn't put it on all the sizes because then it would get confusing. So there's only a guide for the smallest size, but I'm going to tell you how to transfer that to every size. Oh, Amy said, just bought the PDF pattern, excited. Yay. Welcome. This is really exciting. I'm excited. I'm dying for some nice shorts. Okay, so you can see here on the actual pattern, the full size pattern, the dot, this black dot down here in the front is 2 inches from the edge. Okay, and that's for all the sizes. And in the back, the dot is 2.5 inches from the edge. Now, the reason why the dot is farther away in the back and you have a wider vent in the back is because to get this finished vent, you have to turn the edge under. So let me just show you on this pair that I have here. Let me unbutton it. So when you look inside the vent, okay, I clean finished the front edge, and the back edge I actually turned it under, okay, because that's the part that lays flat, that doesn't fold to the back. So there is, I turned it under 3/8 of an inch after I clean finished it, so you have a nice finished edge there in case you don't want to button all the buttons. Okay, so that's why the vent in the back is a 1/2 inch wider. So if you're working with another size, like let's say you're working with the size 14, all you have to do is trace your size, measure 2.5 inches from this bottom edge in and make your dot, and then you can cut it off simply by, you know, you can draw yourself a dashed line, but basically you're just going to cut it off from that dot to where it starts up at the top, like that. Okay, so that's how you figure that out. And in the back, remember, it's 2.5 inches, so you draw your line from there to here, and you can cut it off. I was kind of debating with myself whether or not to include the vent as part of the actual pattern piece or make it's a separate pattern piece that you sewed on. And I just decided that it's neater and nicer to be able to fold it into position versus sewing it on and then having extra bulky seam allowances in there. That's why I included it on the actual pattern. So, you know, you can just cut it right off. Okay, and then you're vent free. Okay, so if you you know, if you want to make sure it's with no vent, or you want to make your first muslin with no vent, that's how you get rid of it. All right, so that takes care of dealing with the vent. The next thing I want to talk about is you want to check some key areas to decide if you need to change anything. And the first thing I would say is you want to make yourself, well, you want to measure or check your pattern at the waist. So when I'm talking about the waist, I'm talking about this top edge right here. This is the waist. Okay, the full hip is probably right where the curve, right above where it starts to curve, somewhere in here. And then the upper thigh is approximately 2 inches. I measured approximately 2 inches from the crotch point. So we have waist, full hip, and upper thigh. Okay, so those are the three horizontal measurements that you want to check. And obviously you want to have them on both the front and the back. So let me just draw. Okay, so something like this, and like this. I don't think I drew these lines on the actual pattern, but the top edge is the waist, full hip is in there, and upper thigh is approximately there. Okay, so those are the lines that you want to mark on your pattern so you can check them. And again, I'm going to show you this chart. Okay, so this has all the measurements. You don't have to measure. I got rid of seam allowances for you. So this is the finished pattern measurements here. So basically you're just going to check those. And the reason why you want to know what that is you want to compare those measurements to your measurements, because the other important measurement obviously would be your crotch length, which would be from here to here, and then from here to there. Okay, and of course I took off the seam allowances on the inseam and the waist, so you want to compare that to your crotch measurement too. Now the one thing I want to point out here, and it says it at the bottom, the crotch measurements in this chart do not include your waistband, because we're going to make a custom waistband. So think to yourself how wide a waistband you want to have for your shorts, whether it's 1.5 inches, 2 inches, whatever that is. You want to double that width and add it to the crotch length in the chart for the total crotch length of the pattern. Okay, so you want to check your crotch length, and you want to check the waist, full hip, and upper thigh. Now, pick the size based on your full hip. Okay, so whichever size, so for an example, you want to look at the chart and then pick the size that is about 2 inches bigger than your full hip, because this is what the pattern measures. So for example, my full hip is 42, so I made the size 14 using the size that had a 44 for a full hip measurement. Okay. Barn for 3 just said, I don't think I have that chart. And you are exactly right. You do not have this chart, because I just finished it, and I just, after I printed the pattern and put them up on Sunday, I thought to myself, oh, I should measure everything. So you can take a screen grab of it, or you can email me and I will send it to you at jsterndesigns37@gmail. My email is underneath the description of all my videos. I'm also going to put a copy of this, a picture of this on the community tab on my YouTube channel. So it'll be, you can see it here now. You can email me and ask me for the chart, or you can take a screen grab of it. Okay, so this is the chart. And I just, from teaching, I've been teaching a lot of pants fitting, and I usually don't measure every dimension like this, and so we spend a lot of time measuring. So I decided for every pattern from now on, I'm going to include all of this information, because it just makes it easier for people, and I can do it in Illustrator using my Vector Scribe plugin, so it's very, very exact. So just compare your full hip to the chart and pick the size that's 2 inches bigger than you. Okay, so that way you'll have 2 inches of ease at your full hip. The other thing you're going to do after you adjust your pieces is you're going to add a safety seam allowance to the sides, 1 inch, and that will give you room to let it out if you need to. Okay, so that's the other thing we're going to do. So basically, if you pick it by the full hip, then make a note of what your body measurement is for your waist and your upper thigh. Oh, Carolyn says, pants intimidate me, have never made a pair that fits. Well, good news, Carolyn, making shorts like this is a good way to start, because you can worry about fitting your, your waist, full hip, thigh, crotch shape, and then you could make your shorts. Sometimes what happens is when the fabric has to go from your crotch down to your hem, if the shape of your leg is not straight, like if you have inward rotating knees, forward bent knees, or some other, or prominent calves, any of your shapes of your leg that might not be proportionate and straight can wreak havoc with the fit of your pants, and then you end up with wrinkles that weren't there when you were testing it in a shorter version. So that's why I thought doing shorts would be a fun group project, because it's a lot easier to fit shorts than it is pants. And I have spent hundreds of hours now since the pandemic started teaching online pants fitting. So I've gotten pretty good at it, and I think I can help you get good shorts, and I'm pretty sure I could help you fit pants as well, because I have a very high success rate now, and I'm really not willing to let it go until the student is happy, because when I teach my pants fitting classes, I always tell everybody, if your pants are not fit by the end of class, I'll help you after. And I have students who have taken me up on that, and we have fit their pants until they were happy. So I've gotten really good at pants because I've been focusing on it for a very long time. Okay, so the reason why you need so the other thing about the waist measurement is the waist measurement on the chart is before darts. So I'm gonna guess for most people, the waist is going to be too big, but remember, you're going to add darts. Okay, and that's how you're going to fit the waist. Carolyn says, how do I get to your virtual class? Okay, so if you're talking about the Zoom fitting for this short sew along, it's going to be on Sunday at 11 o'clock. And if you purchase the pattern, the Zoom invite is in the PDF version. So you can join me for that on Sunday. I hope that answers your question, Carolyn. Let me know. Okay, so you're going to need to you're going to compare the waist, and you're going to decide how many waist darts you need based on what your body measurement is compared to the size pattern that you're working with. Your other choice is, if there's a significant difference between the waist and you, let's say this is huge, the first thing you can do right off the bat is you could blend between sizes. So you could come from the full hip and come in like this. And whatever you do in the back, do in the front, because you want your side seams to be a similar shape. But you can trim off, if you come in a ½ an inch up here, that works out to be 2 whole inches to make the waist shorter. The other thing you can do is you can draw your darts. So basically, you're probably going to either have 1 or 2 darts. Okay, so they would look like this. But don't stress out too much about the darts, because we can fine tune those once your muslin is on. You just don't want a pattern that's falling off. So create a couple darts in the back. If your shape requires one in the front, you can put it in the front too. Most people just need them in the back though. So you need some darts to fit the waist. And then the upper thigh measurement is important because the other dimension you're going to be checking is your crotch length. And if your crotch length is, your body measurement crotch length is shorter than the pattern, don't worry about changing it until you cut out your first muslin, because we can shorten it in the muslin and we can see where you need to shorten it, front or back, when you have your muslin on. If your body crotch measurement is longer than the pattern, you're going to need to add to the crotch length so you can get it on and have enough fabric to cover you. Okay, so if you need to make it longer, one of the things you're going to look at is your upper thigh measurement. Because if your upper thigh measurement is, if you measure the thigh or compare it to your measurement and the pattern is smaller than your upper thigh, that's perfect, because you can lengthen the crotch and give yourself more room in the upper thigh all at the same time. So that's the first thing I'm going to show you. So let's say, I'm just going to look at the chart here. I'm going to use real numbers. So for the 14, the crotch length of just the legs is 23 1/4, and then I added a 1.5 inch waistband, so that put me at 26 1/4. But my my crotch length is 27, so I would need an extra 3/4 of an inch to make it to 27. You know, and then if my thigh was a little bit bigger than the thigh in the pattern, here's how you would add 3/4 of an inch. What you would do is you would draw a line from the inseam to the middle of the crotch curve in the back, and then you would draw yourself or create a pivot. Okay, so what you do is you slash that and you create a pivot along the inseam, so I can move it like this, and then you spread the pattern. So basically, let me just get a piece of paper here. What you would do is you would put some paper in underneath and you would spread it. Now, if I needed to add 3/4 of an inch to my crotch, I think what I would do is I would add I don't think I would add 3/4 there. I think I would spread this a 1/2 inch like that. Okay, and then just to keep things even, I think what I would do in the front is I would extend the front. And depending on what size you're working with, on the smaller sizes it's hard to slash and pivot, so you can just add to it like this, just your little 1/4 inch. Okay, and that gives me the plus 3/4 that I need. Let me see. Okay, so Barn for 3 would like to know how to measure your crotch. That's a very good question. Let me see if I have my tape measure in a handy dandy place. Of course I don't. I'm going to use an elastic to show you. Let me switch my view. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you. Here is, okay, so, all right, so here is, what you would do is you would take your tape measure and you're going to just stick it through your legs, and you're going to measure from the waist in the front, like this, to the waist in the back. And you want to have the tape measure be where the top of your waistband would be, because remember, we're adding the length of the waistband. So this is to the front, and this is the back. So if you put the tape measure on one in the front, just put your finger right here where it is in the back, and then take it off and read it. Okay, and that's how you'll get the measurement. That's how you'll get the measurement of your total crotch. Let me know if that's helpful to you. Okay, and really for your first pair, the goal is to make the crotch long enough so it gets on you, and like I said, we'll fine tune where we need to shorten it once we have a muslin on your body. Okay, and what I'm showing you now is different ways to lengthen the crotch. So if you measure across, I mean, if you compare on the chart the upper thigh right here, okay, and it's already bigger than your upper thigh, then you really can't do this, because lengthening it here also adds all of this right here is also being added to the inseam, because it's pushing that inseam out. So you can't do this if the leg is already big enough for you at the upper thigh. So let me show you another way that you can add. Okay, so let me just get another set of patterns here. So here's another back, and here's another front. Okay, so if you don't need more room on your upper, if you don't need room here on your upper thigh, another way that you can lengthen the crotch is to lengthen it in the back. So you can see this is basically the length of the horizontal part right now. Okay, so see, that's how long it is right now. Well, if you go like this, okay, see what you did? You lengthened it to here. So I added a ½ inch just by digging out the back of the crotch curve a little bit. So that is another way that you can lengthen the crotch length. And I'm just going to put a line here for the full hip. If you do that and you shorten, obviously right here now we've taken away from some of the full hip measurement. Well, you can maintain it by doing this. Okay, and here's the thing. If you look at yourself in the mirror and you look at the shape of your side seams, sometimes, you can see by looking at your shape that you have a curvy hip at your side. Doing this, creating more room here, and then pushing it out here is actually going to give you more of a shape that will agree with your curvy hip. So, just keep in mind, if your full hip was good and then you shorten it by a little bit here by scooping like this, just push it out over here. Hi, Nilgund. Hi, Mary. Okay, so that's how you can lengthen it there. Now, another way to lengthen it is, oh, wait a minute, one thing. If you do this to the back, you should really do it to the front too, so your shapes agree. Okay, it's really important that the shapes of the pattern are in agreement with each other. Okay, they don't need to be the exact same shape, but they need to be similar or they'll fight with each other. All right, so that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is you have a grain line printed on the pattern, so it's kind of like this. You can actually cut the pattern at the full hip line and then along the grain line here, and you can raise it up. So for example, if you needed to add, let's say you needed to add a whole inch, what I would do is put some paper here, measure a ½ an inch here, and then put this back down like this. Okay, so this is another way to lengthen. Okay, so see, you've lengthened it like that now. Okay, and then up at the top, what you're going to do is just reconnect the original center back and the original side seam like this. Okay, so that's another way to lengthen. And of course, if you needed an inch, you would have to do that in the front as well. So what you would do is you would cut across at your grain line. Like this. And then you can add it here. You know, your 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's another way to now you've added in a 1/2 inch in the front and a 1/2 inch in the back here. Okay, so that's another way. One good way to decide if you're, if you need to lengthen the vertical section versus lengthening the curved or base of the crotch is to look at your side view in the mirror. Because if you have, width, your front to back width or the depth of your body, if you feel like you're going to need more room front to back, scooping it here is a good idea. And if you think you need longer rise because you're just long through your torso, your lower torso, doing this is a good way to do it. But I will tell you, either way, as long as you get the pattern long enough and you get it on your muslin, we can fine tune and switch it around where you need it once your muslin is on. Because let's say you did it here, but you really needed this. Well, the good news is once your muslin is on, we can scoop back or sew in deeper and let this out. And that's why I mentioned earlier we're going to be adding 1-inch safety seam allowances to the side seams, because if we do this, then we need room to do this in the muslin. So, you can take your best stab at it, or you can wait until Sunday and I'll help you, during the Zoom fitting session if you're really not sure. But as long as you get it a similar length, that'll get us in a good position to fit your muslin. Okay, so that's dealing with the crotch and making sure, doing your, putting in some initial darts so the waist is not huge. Okay, so that's the waist. You're picking the size based on your full hip, and then you're checking your upper thigh to decide if you need more room along your inner thigh, and also if you need room, more rise, you can add it there. And then this is how to do it if you are not going to be adding to your leg. So that really takes care of all of the major fitting that we are going to do before we cut out our muslin. Now here is another thing that I want to show you about this pattern. These shorts are a pretty fitted leg. Okay, so the leg is fitted. Let's say you want shorts that are more of a relaxed fit. Okay, you can see, especially if I cut off this vent, it comes down to a pretty fitted leg. And the reason why I included the hem measurements are here, and you can use your knee measurement as a guide to decide if you want to make more room or relax the fit of the shorts at the hem. And what you would do to do that is, you could simply straighten out the curve here and make it more of a straight falling leg. And you can do this. If you're going to do it on one side, I think I would do it evenly front to back. So look at your center grain line and divide the total amount you want to add to the hem measurement by 4, because you're going to add 1/4 of it on the front and back inseam and 1/4 of it on the front and back side seam. So let's say you wanted to add 2 inches. So you're going to push this one out a 1/2 inch, and you're going to push this one out a 1/2 inch. Okay, and if you need to do that, then obviously we need to redraw the vent later on, and I'll show you how to do that. So that's another reason to forego the vent, the button vent for now, because you know, we can add the vent back in after you change the style of your leg, but this would be the adjusted back leg, and then the adjusted front leg would be, you know, you'd have your 1/2 inch here, and we would come down a 1/2 inch here and here. Okay, and this is really more to create a looser fitting leg at the knee. Okay, so we're pushing that out and we're pushing that out. Okay, so that's the other adjustment I foresee people maybe wanting to do, you know, to relax their legs. And then, okay, so one other thing, after we relaxed the leg, we did the crotch length, we did fitting the waist. Let's say we need to add to the waist. Let's say you have a prominent tummy and you're worried that you're not going to have room in the front for your tummy. Okay, so that's another thing we can consider. I talked about how to fit it, you know, if you need waist darts, but what if you need to fit it so you have more room? What I recommend doing is drawing yourself. I mean, I showed a different way to add room to the tummy on a Fab Fit Friday a Fit Tip Tuesday a few weeks ago. But another way to do it is, if the waist edge fits, but you're worried about a full tummy, you're going to create these lines like this. And then you're going to slash the pattern to the side seam, but not through it, and to the upper corner between the side seam and the waist, but not through it. And that allows us to spread like this. Okay, so I can, let me get a little sticky note for this one. So this allows us to open up the waist like this to give ourselves some room. But see, we don't want the top to pop up like that. So I like to create what I call a control point like this. And I'm just going to slash that to, but not through the top, and then I can bend it back down like this, so it's more, you know, you're keeping your center front straight. So then, let me just put another sticky note under here. Okay, so then what you can do is you can extend the front a little bit and then make this straight again. Okay, so that's how you can make room for a prominent tummy if you're worried that you're not going to have enough room up at the top at the waist. Okay. All right, so we have prominent tummy. We got rid of the vent. I showed you how to get rid of the vent. Now let's say this is my completed front, and let's use, this is my completed back. Let's say these are the adjustments. Oops. Likes to sew says, hi, my name is Queen Esther. Hi, Queen Esther. Welcome. Okay. Let's pretend that these two patterns are, this is my real front and back. We made all the adjustments that we think we needed. Now what I'm going to do is complete the pattern to get ready to cut out my muslin. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this vent. because I got rid of that. I'll just tape some paper here. Okay, and then I'm also gonna tape a piece of paper over here. All right, so once you do all your fit adjustments, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna add your safety seam allowance just to the side seam edge. So basically what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add I'm not gonna add a real inch because it's gonna be too big for this half scale, but basically pretend I'm adding an inch. Okay, so there's my inch safety seam allowance, 1 inch safety seam allowance. Okay, just on the side seam. And then I'm going to do it again over here. And this is what's going to allow us to let it out if we need to. Okay, 1 inch safety seam allowance. Okay, so when you sew these together, the steps to sew them together are going to be, first sew your darts. Okay, and you can just baste those in. This may change based on how the rest fits, but if you drew in darts, sew those first. Then you're going to put your legs together, front and back. So let me just cut this out really quickly. All right, let me just cut this out. Okay, so there's my front, and here's my back. Okay, so actually, let me show you one other thing before I show you. Okay, let me just get all this out of the way here. Okay, let me just show you a couple other things, actually. If you get this far, and you've cut out your two pieces, the first thing you can do here is line up your crotch points and make sure you have a smooth transition front to back. Okay. So if you line up your inseams, you want to make sure it's smooth front to back. Sometimes when you scoop or add a wedge or change the shape of these, it could get funky. So make sure it's smooth. If it's not smooth, like let's say it's peeking up like this, see how that looks like it's peeking up? You can just go in and just smooth it out, okay, and trim it off. Okay, so make sure it's nice and smooth like this. Then the next thing is, go ahead and make sure your inseams match by lining up the hems and the crotch points. And actually the front crotch point may, or the back crotch point may stick up a little bit, but when you sew at the 1/2 inch, it'll be even. Okay, check that. And then also check and make sure your side seams match. Okay, from hem to waist. That's important. Okay, so Judy says, so you already have a seam allowance in the pattern, but what size? Okay, that's a good question, Judy. Okay, so here are the seam allowances. You have built into the pattern a 1/2 inch on your side seams. So the side seams are at 1/2 inch. So when you go to sew your side seams using a 1.5 inch seam allowance. So you have your safety seam allowance plus your 1/2 inch. Sew at 1.5 inches because we don't want to add any extra now. We just want it there in case we need it. So side seams, sew at 1 1/2 inches. Okay. Your inseam is a 1/2 inch. Okay, so that's what you're going to sew first, actually. You're going to sew your side and inseams. Those are at a 1/2 inch. Okay. After you sew your side and inseams, you're going to end up with 2 tubes. You know, they'll be sewn together at the side and inseam. What you're going to do is you're going to turn one of your legs inside out, and you're going to put the right side out one inside the inside out one, line up your crotch curve. Line up your inseam, and then you're going to sew the crotch curve like this. Okay, and at the top of the front, you have a 3/4 inch seam allowance because there's a zipper seam allowance, you know, and then there's the regular seam allowance, and then at the crotch curve it's 3/8, and in the back it's a 1/2 inch. So basically you're just going to sew right around like that. Okay, and that will complete sewing the shorts before the waistband. Okay. All right, does anybody have any questions about how to sew the shorts together? Let me know if you have questions about how to sew them together. After they're sewn together, if you want to add a waistband, cut yourself a strip of fabric that is 1 inch wider than your finished waistband. So if you want a 1.5 finished waistband, you're going to cut a 2.5 inch strip of fabric and just sew it along the top of your shorts. Okay, and that will give you a waistband. All right, and then that will be ready to do some fitting with on Sunday. So that's our plan before Sunday. So I do want to encourage you, if you have questions, please please email me and I will help you. And like I said, if you purchase the printed pattern, I think there were like 5 or 6 people who got the printed version of the pattern. I'm going to email you the Zoom link sometime today. I have one more fitting to do at 2:15 for my stretch jeans class. And then Saturday I'm teaching stretch jeans for Fabric Mart Fabric, the second classes. But I will be, around to help you if you need it. Okay, so Mama said so, says she's going to grab the pattern and try to be at the Zoom. Yay. Okay, so I'm very happy Mama says so that you're joining us. I think that's wonderful. Please, let me know if you have questions. Barn for 3 would like to know, you can rewatch this as much as you want. All of my Fab Fit Friday live streams they live in my channel. So you can just, search for it by the title or just scroll through and look, but I keep all my live streams up for you to rewatch. So you definitely can do that. And remember, if you cannot make the Zoom class on Sunday, but you want to see, the information that I share during that fitting, please email me at jsterndesigns37@gmail.com, and I will send you the link to the unlisted video. I'm not going to just put that up for the whole world to see. I'm going to just keep it for people who are in the sew along. So, but I do want to make it available. So I will be recording it. And again, I won't be recording any students, just what I'm doing. Although you can hear what the students are saying. Will the darts take care of a sway back? You can definitely fit, yes, you can fit a sway back with darts, and maybe even taking in the center back seam a little bit. So once you have your muslin on, we can address that. Okay, and if for some reason there are so many people at the Zoom, I don't know how many people are coming. I didn't have like an RSVP thing, but that's all I have planned for Sunday. So I will stay, in class on Sunday starting at 11. So if you can't come till 12, come at 12 because I will still be there. I'll make sure I stay until I help everybody. So if you have your muslin sewn up, we can fine tune the fit of your muslin. And if you're stuck somewhere before then, You can email me and send me pictures of your pattern and what you need help with, or I can help you with your pattern in the Zoom fitting, whatever is good for you, because I don't want anybody to be stressed out about how to adjust their patterns. So after watching this and maybe rewatching it, if you have questions, you can either email me or post them here. I'll keep my eyeball on the comments under the video and I will answer them, or if you email me, I will answer you. So basically, I'm going to be teaching fitting all day, all weekend long, between Fabric Mart Fabric on Saturday and Shorts for Everybody on Sunday. So that's actually a perfect weekend for me. I'm super excited because it's my favorite thing. So I'm going to have a fun weekend. So anyway, all right. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to sign off for now, but keep me posted and I will be looking out for your questions. Oh, will you be doing jackets? You know, I think that this is just the first of many things I will be doing. Jackets are probably on the list for the fall, so stay tuned because I really enjoy this format where I teach and then I have fittings. Yeah, so I think a jacket could be in the future. All right, so thank you guys for joining me. I really appreciate it. I really value your time, and I hope to see everybody on Sunday at 11 o'clock, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend until then. All right, and again, feel free to contact me if you need help. All right, I'm signing off. See you Sunday.